eti yenko Galamsey so unim say illegal mining de ye how kase President Mahama kan was free so obaye no wo issue lances bia farmer obi bia forest reserves akase enkono ya na o mafade abo wo mo bono a wo mo sensuo on se ensuo bia ti efri ayi botanso efri forest mu ensuo bia ne namfom bia ni ti efri botanso ye no ma ye tire akurase ane yakọ forest afuo mu no asewo ye ka we ye so ote ase so efri botanso enti nsuo na o mo hye forest ni mu na o mo hye na wo mo sense ase ne ade no na etnia na obi aka achenkwana na menum asuo bire mu onom gata munso ya gata yi mo da so nom mo ya mo pa mo ho asafo hene na asai eti director mo mame Galamsey no de President Mahama eka ye 8 months ni Forestry Commission, Minerals Commission, Gold Board, and Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. No ma ye ede afa ho yentie no na yentoaso.
Cause of Galamsey is receiving much attention. We've established the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, as a Central Operations Command Center coordinating the national fight against illegal mining and its associated environmental degradation. In a coordinated effort across all security agencies and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, 440 excavators have been seized. Over 1,400 arrests have been made, with suspects awaiting prosecution. Over 300 Shamfang machines have been confiscated and destroyed. Over 900 water pumps seized from illegal mining sites have been handed over to the Ministry of Agriculture for distributing to farmers for irrigation purposes. Of Ghana's 288 forest reserves, 44 had previously suffered varying degrees of destruction from illegal mining. Notably, 9 of those reserves had become no-go zones due to the presence of armed groups. Through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and with support from the security agencies, we've successfully repossessed all 9 of these red-zoned forest reserves. However, over the weekend, the Jimira Forest Reserve and the Anria Futu section of the Offense Shelter Belt was reinvaded by illegal miners after these were handed back to the Forestry Commission. The military is currently working with NIMOS to repossess those reserves and establish a permanent presence in those liberated forest reserves to prevent re-incursion by illegal miners. 980 personnel have been recruited, trained and deployed in the western and savannah regions.
Okay, ti mentua so Galamsey so oboso na yenko yanim ene me se Onua na ye ene no enye gidigidi bia nye gidigidi bia butu bia adwuma na ye ba be ye wo ha sei afei oral so Operation Recover All Loot. Operation Recover All Loot. Eno de on say President Mahama ba ya na sa committee we wote ye na Foreign Affairs Minister na ne da no Honorable Samokujeto Abla kwanom ne mpanimfo bi Raymond Achanom na COP Kofi Buachenom na wom na former Auditor General Domlevo na wom enyina ewom ebi enti omo ye adwuma pa enti omo ye omo adwuma wie no sese no ora adwuma de nyina Attorney General na ye de amano enti no enura mikobisa ho asem because plea bargaining no na Ghana for no me say na menti ase minim se emra ye hye no 2022 eye mra ne da hodada but ye nsakraye wo mu ena che say plea bargaining ne ye de eba mu director mo ma me question ne ma me on enti me question ne ba wi a afa na President Mahama response no na ya bo me ko bisa say the law is the law ne there is the law but so the law is the law na President Mahama two person o kire ye say once the law is the law it will be wi wo man pesika gift your ware nom I osesi benchu nom ene kwabena dubu ahenom nipa de sani pa nim say onye dam onye hwe pa lugu $12 million pa no de nsa bom ne ya tedi So the law is the law. O metua no mfa ne huni ana. Eje sika no so o tam de akose $12 million ni nyina ni o. O tua kra sa ase no. Nipa da sani nim se Ghana ha no ma yeti. Tire kwan ya fam de akra esuo to a na enade ni sinse wiem. E fam de akra yenye wios mi koye wiem de. E fam de akra no yenye wie. Usimi koye wiem de ni aka bom. Professor Ama Agyarko $2 million no o ma wia. So the law is the law. Enti no omuntua no mu fom ni ana. Enti question me bi sa president no yentie ni ento aso.
Has the floor.
Patron na Ama Agyarko Onua TV. My question oral. I'm saying, Mr. President, what can PR for oral? Now, the last accountability series, Attorney General, a statement in Pesemi Redi Kakami quoting the Kakranami to us the floor. I wish to remind you of the fact that when I announced the Kwabena Edubwahi investigation, I was blunt in stating the fact that I am open to engaging in plea bargaining with those who have been investigated and found to have looted or stolen state resources. I means no words about my intentions and will therefore not shut the door to any accused person willing to enter into negotiations with my office for purposes of reaching a plea agreement. Yenim say ya Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Amendment Act 2022 plea bargaining. But my question is say fight corruption as Attorney General, State Attorney say we be na upon the atokonomwa say we loot state resource and as a fund bra then me negotiate. Does it mean say so obeti asese sika na me fire no metua ye jai no ana ndi wo hono mo ana me question no that's
it. Just
okay I asemo we dey ya kan station dey ya bro for kan dey say ya o we ga TV3 ni na kan yan ya dey nya butire yi ni baako o ahon eti we say ni ye Attorney General enu a me share na mbisa asa question we because say one tia 2022 ena MPP eye sa mra we di to ho no mo a omo bo kronu ni nyina awie no mu ye se da bi the way ye lutu o man no ya ampe bibi the law is the law am ye ho banya ye bedam ye be wo prison ye be wo jail enti ye sa mra we emfa to ho no mo fa mo ye ho ban wo ba accuse NDC aban President Mahama ne Attorney General say mo shedem na mo ye negotiations but not the law is the law. Mama me President Mahama response no. Na yen toaso President Mahama response no mo fa mame na yen toaso na yen koye nim enchiremu a wode ebaye me ba emra no me bia mo watie emra no me ba me bia sa emra no ama watie the law is the law no na wahunu ba bia ade ani firi a eba ba bia ade ani firi ya eba aha na wahunu say entino emra ni ne unim na emra ni da hono da Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Amendment Act 2022 Plea Bargaining Act 1079 it is amra ni da Criminal and Other Offences Procedure ya amende no 2022 emu ne nya Plea Bargaining Act 1079 it is amra 2022 ena MPP fo ekoye ye kwa amende emra no eyi bi firi mu se wo ye boni bia emra ne fa bi mema ho kwan se brabe bagani but robbery no many other cases being count but corruption no many other the shame because omo ye de ma wo mo some be dey e be protect wo interest entini ya na me kan say politician interest ever first omo wan see dia of we are 100 Ghana cedis ni interest ye first o they say no politics e obi interest President Mahama ba ye de ono no e Ghana for interest etina na akufo ado any Attorney General no Godfrey ye bo adamenum nyina na kabo muo e na wo mo yes ye friend say Plea Bargaining Act editor 1079 say ya bokro no ya hwe ye bedem enu entini ye mra we ne mfa ma ye ho ban na tie say akase the law is the law. Direct and patro say video na you ready a. Mo mame sa video no President Mahama response ya wode ebaye na ye ntoa so emfamfiri honom enu na ehia papa because Ghana for ka say a very sensitive question and enra me de ma President John Dramani Mahama no na ye ntie anu yi a President Mahama ede ebaye enti mi patro mo mame na ye nkoye nim.
Send your kind no MPP abreso mo de ehihye bi ban ayemra se abane wudi efa case bi ho se ebia wa fiscal na bibia o akwenya obetimi aka se yo ene aban case na mode kwedu amode bomino me sande sika na se agode bia na se bibia mode bomi kwedu no me sande aba se ne beya monfa menkoto how do they call imprisonment if you say monfa menkoto if you say enti yemra edaho enti obi ayabo no kwedu bia ewo tumi se obeka se you ene yentwa so na memfa seimra na enjai sa eyuno enti eno enye aban ene beka eye nipa yedena kugina court and so se okase o munjai asem no mu na memfa seimra na se agudie bia me fire me sanfamra na se japade bia me fire me sanfamra na se bibi aban wakwenya se beka se de bi enje na yebeto aso any case no enti ejina case no any ni anipa ne ye enti still aban wotumi say even though wako emrana se aka say me pese me san ede bibi bema aban na that we've not wavered in our commitment for even a moment.
Said the law is the law now. And but any cases ni na mind you the oka ya say any cases bia obi ti say kwabena dubu ahi say sa no one national signal bureau device here also akwakoto yi a sika $7 million ya obi a separate account wa one na yire elu tudi kogu mu no enu ye betimi age but stolen vehicles no sa nkofo cars na ekina membre mu video ati CCTV no mo kosete ye na capture na yile ni fie on mo cham de bebre mu so sa no ne de enu no ye ma wuntua enu no bedam wo ho but ye $7 million de you will pay. To say Chema won't to me say, Exim Bank your kwaje $10 million so de kwakoye yi fuyi abrofuyi a wodi enu ne ye beji usika but ye just say sika ni wi a the next year wo mine na wo borua ye forest reserves mu a wan kasa wa ban e be ka kire ye say wo ye mu insurance bi afama enu no wontimi ntwa ye ka because ye land ye resources a wa send ye forest ye so enu say wo betimi adem so but bibi say professor me yakuvi so timi so mu use no mu di $2 million no onu say also be refund betimi amanatua but said bibi to say gift your worry pa lady na say bia maka kire say onu gift your worry refund this sika no because of plea bargaining the law is the law and over the President Mahama Kagana form fan change this aban da and the Kagana form fan chamo da God's name si pa ma ekwa den krofo eno de se moye sa dia ba sikan dia monji sikan so kwa de so mu twia pa na no obi ka kire me say ni nyina aka hu bi ntina reset ne koso ti de monya sika wa sister yeso mu dia mlika di sikan e ba lutas ne de ba but bebre so bedem because the law is the law. Avey so far Attorney General investigations do awa your docket do aye ready but your docket na ye ready aye afako court e me kan chance ntwofo ye nya wo judge fo ene ye nya who prosecutors ye afako court mo na court process ne course no na wo gada more evidence na de court na wo update ye ne ye ti ase enti no enu so ye ntie President Mahama ensamo a wo kan ye e de efa ho.
Neither have we been complacent. What you are witnessing is not inaction, it is a steadfast adherence to due diligence, due process, and fairness in the pursuit of justice. Yes, our insistence on doing things the right way may afford those who have looted this country some temporary relief, but let me be clear, it will not grant them permanent escape. Across multiple fronts, active pursuits and prosecutions are well underway under the Operation Recover All the Loot. Over 200 cases are under active investigation, with about 80 people interrogated so far. Several prosecutions have begun, progressing steadily and remaining firmly on course. In the Republic versus Edubuan and three others, the state has submitted witness statements together with all other documents, and trial has commenced. and the first of 3 prosecution witnesses have been called and have been cross-examined by counsel for the accused person. With the SkyTrain case, for instance, the prosecutors have secured a trial date, as all preliminary matters have been concluded and the trial is set to commence. For the National Service Authority case, due to its expansive nature, charges have been drafted and will be filed as soon as the legal year begins against the following person: the Republic versus Osei Sibe, the Republic versus Eric Nyako, the Republic versus Gifty Owari. Also for the National Cathedral, we are awaiting a forensic audit from the Auditor General. Additionally, charges have been drafted and are ready for filing in the case of Republic versus Wuntumi and Akunta Mining. The Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, is finalizing its report with respect to Exim Bank transactions. Dockets are in preparation for the buffer stock case and the drip equipment case. Investigations are ongoing into the African Cup of Nations case, the March set case, and approximately 20 other cases currently. Let me be clear, every single case of corruption that needs to be investigated is being looked into. And once evidence is found to ground the prosecution, that will happen and happen swiftly. Looking within, we launched a code of conduct for public officials with an insistence on strict compliance. A high-level working group has been inaugurated to draft a new anti-corruption strategy aimed at strengthening ethical governance and institutional coordination. My fellow citizens, the scourge of Galamsey is receiving much attention.
Okay, eti enura media encounter na nepo ene ya bobo so no ye benya bre ye besan so aba ne ye biebie mu pidi ma but se wunya akwanya enkade na be bisa President Mahama eti ye comment section no fa o question bra fa o comment bra se wunya akwanya ye no ye gina amanemu ye no na enough emamo minim say ye de yanka wo 1 or 2 questions bia enka be bisa President Mahama metie de o de fama me de be ma e fellas kwacho ofusu honorable nsaka President Mahama ensa betimi aka eti so far 8 months enye ni nyina ni but ni poni bi no ena mabosi security nyina no eyade a ye wura mu a ye bowura mu sentwerefo de ka de fa ye ho ebinum salary a enye no ne ade nyina yade a President Mahama kekai utimi ye adwuma e wo media house bi 10 years adwuma wura na adwene nye ontu pe mu da timi ye adwuma wo ba bi 10 years media house okrom ha na adwuma wura enye sika mo sika ba na otua obi below minimum wage 400 Ghana 500 Ghana office wa yo favor kwa na wa ma wadwuma eye media houses bebre especially private ne de kwase abuo nko a bebre 5 years on to pay mu national tripartite committee pa omo kwankwa tena sinko negotiation si ato salary mu 2% 10 years wunya bi da 5 years wunya bi da wo salary 200 e won to mu da boss etino mami nka sam nchirahwe but President Mahama say public ne de obetime ba private ne de mo ntoko sam de mumu mo workers kwase asa nya mbetua mo kase de mo nyumasitie wo ka tonse nya mbetua mo kwase a wo ka kwanya mi hiraye ai se kutu se bamfo wo ka kwanya nyankopɔ ye de hira wo mo edp so ho aha ene centrofo eduru ba bia but under President Mahama ye share de hu sase ye bon centrofo ye mo se wane ye bo no police ni yokoye se obo hwan obia mu obia upia I know my right eya na do so